So, you clicked on this video and I get it. The iPhone. It's more than just a phone at this point, right? It's a cultural icon, a device that arguably redefined an entire industry, and for many it's been a constant companion through a significant chunk of their lives. Welcome to our comprehensive guide on every iPhone ever released. We're going on a journey, a pretty extensive one, back to where it all began and tracing the evolution of this device year by year, model by model. It's a story of innovation, sometimes iteration, and a few controversial decisions along the way, but undeniably it's a fascinating tech timeline. From the original iPhone that Steve Jobs pulled out of his pocket and blew everyone's minds, to the latest model that's packed with more power than some computers from not too long ago. We'll cover all the key features and innovations. We'll look at the design shifts, the camera improvements that have made shot on iPhone a legitimate claim, the processor jumps that keep pushing mobile performance, and those software updates that tie the whole experience together. It's not just about specs on a sheet, it's about how these devices changed what we expected from a phone. This is going to be a deep dive, so grab a snack, settle in. We'll be looking at what made each iPhone special, what it brought to the table, and how it contributed to the lineage we see today. Whether you're a die-hard Apple fan, a curious tech enthusiast, or just someone wondering how we got from that first chunky device to the sleek slabs of glass and metal we have now, there's something here for you. We'll try to hit all the major milestones and even some of the smaller details that made each iPhone, well, an iPhone. Let's get into it. All right, so let's rewind. Way back, the year is 2007. The mobile phone landscape, it's different. Think physical keyboards, clunky interfaces, styluses, and the internet on your phone being a painful, slow experience. Then Steve Jobs walks on stage and introduces not three revolutionary products, but one device, the iPhone. And just like that, the game changed. This wasn't just another phone. It was pitched as a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device, all packed into one sleek package. The hype was real, and honestly, it mostly delivered on that promise. The original iPhone, often called the iPhone 2G, was a marvel of engineering for its time. The star of the show was undoubtedly its 3.5-inch capacitive multi-touch display. Pinch to zoom, inertial scrolling. These things we take for granted now were mind-blowing back then. It felt responsive, intuitive, and miles ahead of anything else on the market. You could actually browse the web with Safari, not some stripped-down WAP version. And the iPod integration was seamless, making it a genuinely great media player. It was a statement, a bold vision for what mobile computing could be, and it set the design language for smartphones for years to come. Of course, it wasn't perfect. No 3G, meaning data speeds, were on the slower Edge network. There was no App Store at launch, which seems almost unbelievable now, limiting its functionality to Apple's built-in apps. No copy-paste, no MMS, and the camera, a 2-megapixel shooter, was pretty basic even for its time, with no video recording. But these limitations almost didn't matter in the face of what it do. It fundamentally shifted user expectations and forced the entire industry to rethink their approach to mobile devices. It was a premium product with a premium price, but it was also a glimpse into the future. The design itself was iconic. That combination of glass on the front and an aluminum back with a black plastic strip at the bottom for antennas felt incredibly futuristic. It was relatively thin for its era and felt solid in the hand. The single home button became a signature element, simplifying navigation in a way that other manufacturers were still struggling with complex button arrays. It ran iPhone OS, as it was then called, which was smooth, visually appealing, and built around touch from the ground up. This software experience was just as crucial as the hardware. The impact of this first iPhone can't be overstated. It laid the groundwork for the entire smartphone ecosystem we know today. It championed the direct manipulation interface, the importance of a good mobile browser, and the idea that a phone could be a powerful personal computer that fit in your pocket. It wasn't just about the features it had, but the potential it represented. It made people excited about mobile technology in a way they hadn't been before, and every single iPhone that followed owes its existence to the bold choices made with this first-generation device. So Apple had made a huge splash with the original iPhone, but they knew there was work to be done. A year later, in 2008, we got the iPhone 3G, and the name pretty much tells you the headline feature 3G connectivity. This was a big deal. While the original iPhone relied on AT&T's slower Edge network, the addition of 3G meant significantly faster data speeds for web browsing, email, and crucially for what was coming next. This addressed one of the major criticisms of the first model and made the iPhone a much more capable internet device when you weren't on Wi-Fi. But perhaps even more transformative than the 3G speeds was the other major introduction with this model, the App Store. If the original iPhone was the hardware revolution, the App Store was the software revolution that truly unlocked its potential. Suddenly, developers could create and distribute applications directly to iPhone users. This opened up a world of possibilities, from games to productivity tools, social media apps to utilities. The App Store fundamentally changed how we use our phones, turning them into versatile tools that could be customized to our individual needs and interests. It created an entire economy. The design of the iPhone 3G saw a noticeable shift. Apple moved away from the aluminum back of the original, opting for a curved plastic back, available in black, or for the 16GB model, a new white option. This made it feel a bit different in the hand, perhaps a bit warmer and more comfortable for some, though arguably less premium than its predecessor. It also helped with reception for the new 3G and GPS radios. Yes, GPS was another key addition, enabling location-based services and mapping in a much more robust way than the Wi-Fi triangulation of the original. Under the hood, the core processing power was largely similar to the original, so it wasn't a massive leap in raw performance. The focus was clearly on connectivity and expanding the software ecosystem. iPhone OS 2.0, which launched alongside the iPhone 3G, brought not only the App Store but also features like Microsoft Exchange Active Sync support, making it more appealing to business users, and contact search. These were important refinements that broadened the iPhone's appeal beyond just early adopters and tech enthusiasts. The iPhone 3G was also launched with a new pricing model, often subsidized more heavily by carriers, making it more accessible to a wider audience. This, combined with the allure of the App Store and faster data, really helped accelerate iPhone adoption. It took the groundbreaking foundation of the original iPhone and built upon it in practical, meaningful ways, setting the stage for the iPhone to become a mainstream phenomenon. It was less about raw shock and awe this time, and more about building a sustainable platform. Alright, so after the 3G brought connectivity in the App Store, Apple followed up in 2009 with the iPhone 3GS. And that S, as Apple explicitly stated, stood for speed. This was the first S model iPhone, establishing a pattern of Apple releasing a significantly upgraded version in the S year, focusing more on internal improvements rather than a complete redesign. And true to its name, the iPhone 3GS delivered a noticeable performance boost across the board. Apps launched faster, web pages loaded quicker, and the overall responsiveness of the OS felt snappier. This speed improvement was thanks to an upgraded processor and more RAM. While Apple wasn't as focused on publicizing chip names back then as they are now, the underlying hardware provided a significant jump. This made a real difference in day-to-day use, especially as apps started to become more demanding. It wasn't just about raw CPU power. Graphics performance also saw an improvement, leading to better gaming experiences. The 3GS felt like a more refined and capable version of the iPhone 3G, ironing out some of the performance bottlenecks. One of the headline new features, beyond just speed, was video recording. This was a big one. For the first time, iPhone users could shoot video directly from their device, edit it on the phone and share it. The camera itself was upgraded to 3 megapixels and also gained autofocus and tap-to-focus, which improved still photo quality as well. But video was the game changer here, opening up new avenues for content creation and sharing moments in a more dynamic way. Seems standard now, but back then, having decent video recording on your phone was a pretty big deal. The iPhone 3GS also introduced voice control. This was a precursor to Siri, allowing users to make calls and control music playback using voice commands. It was relatively basic by today's standards, but it was an important step towards more hands-free interaction with the device. Other notable additions included a built-in digital compass, which enhanced mapping and augmented reality applications, and a new oleophobic coating on the screen to help resist fingerprints, a small but appreciated touch. The battery life also saw some improvements, particularly for certain tasks. Visually, the iPhone 3GS looked virtually identical to the iPhone 3G. It retained the same curved plastic back and general form factor. The main differentiators were internal. This S-model strategy proved to be a smart one for Apple, allowing them to offer a compelling upgrade with tangible benefits, without the R&D and manufacturing overhaul of a full redesign every year. The 3GS solidified the iPhone's position as a leader in the smartphone market by delivering a faster, more capable and more feature-rich experience. It was the iPhone 3G, but better in almost every practical way. Chapter 4. A clear leap forward, iPhone 4. So, after 2 years of the curved plastic design, 2010 brought us the iPhone 4, and wow, what a redesign! This was a dramatic departure. The iPhone 4 introduced a stunning new industrial design, featuring a glass front and back sandwiched around a stainless steel band that also served as the antenna. It was flat, angular, and felt incredibly premium, like a precision instrument. It was thinner than its predecessor, and just looked and felt like a completely new generation of device. This design is still considered by many to be one of Apple's best. But the design wasn't the only headline feature. The iPhone 4 introduced the Retina display, with a resolution of 960 by 640 pixels. On its 3.5-inch screen, it packed in 326 pixels per inch. Apple claimed this was the point at which, at a normal viewing distance, the human eye couldn't distinguish individual pixels. Text was incredibly sharp, images were vibrant, and it set a new standard for mobile display clarity. Once you saw a Retina display, it was really hard to go back to anything else. It was a genuine wow moment for many people. Under the hood, the iPhone 4 was powered by Apple's A4 chip, the first custom-designed Apple SoC to appear in an iPhone. This provided another significant performance boost, enabling more complex apps and smoother multitasking, which was also improved in iOS 4. The camera system saw a major upgrade too, with a 5-megapixel sensor on the back that could shoot 720p HD video, and for the first time, a front-facing VGA camera, which enabled another key feature: FaceTime video calling over Wi-Fi. FaceTime was Apple's push into native video calling, and it worked remarkably well right out of the box. The simplicity of just tapping a contact and starting a video call was a big selling point. iOS 4 itself brought a host of new features, including folders for app organization and the aforementioned multitasking for third-party apps, though it was a somewhat limited implementation compared to what we have today. It made the iPhone feel more powerful and versatile as a mobile computing platform. However, the iPhone 4 wasn't without its controversy. The exposed stainless steel antenna band led to the infamous antenna gate. Holding the phone in a certain way, particularly bridging the gap on the lower left side, could cause signal attenuation. Apple initially downplayed it, then offered free bumper cases to mitigate the issue. Despite this hiccup, the iPhone 4 was a massive success. Its stunning design, beautiful display, and improved performance and features made it a hugely desirable device and a significant milestone in the iPhone's evolution. It felt like a true leap into the future. Chapter 5. Hello Siri iPhone 4S. Alright, following the major redesign of the iPhone 4, 2011 brought us the iPhone 4S. Sticking to the S-year tradition, it kept the same external design as the iPhone 4, that beautiful glass and stainless steel sandwich. So, from the outside you'd be hard-pressed to tell them apart, aside from some very minor antenna band adjustments made to address the previous year's signal issues. But internally, and in terms of software features, the iPhone 4S was a significant upgrade, and it introduced something truly groundbreaking. Siri. Siri was the star of the show. Billed as an intelligent personal assistant, Siri allowed you to use your voice to send messages, make calls, set reminders, check the weather, search the web, and much more. It was presented in beta, but its natural language processing and conversational abilities were unlike anything widely available on a smartphone at the time. It felt futuristic and was a huge selling point. "What can I help you with?" became an iconic phrase and Siri laid the groundwork for the voice assistants we all use today. Under the hood, the iPhone 4S packed Apple's new dual-core A5 chip, the same one found in the iPad 2. This delivered up to twice the processing power and up to 7 times the graphics performance compared to the A4 in the iPhone 4. This made everything feel faster and smoother, from launching apps to playing graphically intensive games. It also enabled more sophisticated features like Siri's processing and the improved camera capabilities. It was a powerhouse for its time, ensuring the iPhone 4S could handle whatever you threw at it. The camera system also received a major overhaul. The rear camera was upgraded to an 8-megapixel sensor with a new custom lens with a larger f2.4 aperture. This resulted in significantly better photos, especially in low light, with improved color accuracy and sharpness. It could also record video in 1080p Full HD, a step up from the 720p on the iPhone 4. Apple really started to emphasize the iPhone's camera quality around this time, and the 4S was a testament to that focus, becoming one of the most popular cameras on Flickr very quickly. The iPhone 4S also introduced support for both GSM and CDMA networks in a single device, making it a world phone, which was convenient for travelers and simplified inventory for Apple and carriers. It launched with iOS 5, which brought over 200 new features, including iMessage, Notification Center, reminders, and iCloud integration for wireless syncing and backup. The combination of the A5 chip, the vastly improved camera, and the revolutionary Siri made the iPhone 4S a very compelling upgrade, even if it looked the same as its predecessor. It was a refinement, but a very powerful one. Chapter 6, Taller and Faster, iPhone 5. So after 2 years with a 3.5-inch screen that had been standard since the original iPhone, 2012 marked a significant change with the iPhone 5. The big story here was the display. Apple finally increased the screen size, moving to a taller 4-inch Retina display. This changed the aspect ratio, allowing for an extra row of icons on the home screen and more content to be displayed in apps, especially in portrait mode. While some Android phones were already much larger, Apple's approach was to increase height, but maintain the same width, so it was still comfortable for one-handed use. This new, taller screen necessitated a redesign of the iPhone's body. The iPhone 5 was remarkably thin and light, crafted from anodized aluminum for the back and sides, with glass inlays at the top and bottom. It felt incredibly premium and well-engineered. The diamond-cut chamfered edges were a new design touch that added to its sophisticated look. This was a significant departure from the glass-backed iPhone 4 and 4S, and many praised the new unibody aluminum construction for its durability and feel in the hand. It was a beautiful piece of hardware. Another major change with the iPhone 5 was the introduction of the Lightning connector. This new, smaller, all-digital 8-pin connector replaced the venerable 30-pin dock connector that had been used on iPhones and iPods for years. The Lightning connector was reversible, which was a nice convenience, and it allowed Apple to make the iPhone 5 even thinner. However, this change was also controversial, as it made a whole ecosystem of 30-pin accessories obsolete overnight without an adapter, which Apple sold separately. It was a necessary step forward, but one that caused some initial frustration. Performance-wise, the iPhone 5 was powered by Apple's new A6 chip. Apple claimed it offered up to twice the CPU and graphics performance of the A5 chip in the iPhone 4S. This translated to even faster app launch times, smoother gameplay, and better overall responsiveness. The iPhone 5 was also the first iPhone to feature LTE support, bringing significantly faster cellular data speeds in areas with LTE coverage. This was a huge upgrade for web browsing, streaming, and downloading on the go, finally catching up to many Android competitors in this regard. The camera on the iPhone 5 was an 8-megapixel sensor, similar in resolution to the 4S, but Apple made improvements to it, including better low-light performance, a sapphire crystal lens cover for durability, and a new panorama mode. The front-facing FaceTime camera was upgraded to HD, 720p. Coupled with iOS 6, which brought features like Apple Maps, Passbook, Now Wallet, and deeper Facebook integration, the iPhone 5 felt like a substantial step forward. The larger screen, new design, LTE, and faster A6 chip made it a very compelling package. All right, following the iPhone 5's redesign, 2013 brought us the iPhone 5S. And true to the S tradition, it maintained the same external design as the iPhone 5, the sleek aluminum body, the 4-inch display, but it packed some truly groundbreaking technology inside. The headline feature, and one that would fundamentally change smartphone security and convenience, was Touch ID. This fingerprint identity sensor, seamlessly integrated into the home button, allowed you to unlock your iPhone or authorize iTunes and App Store purchases with just a touch of your finger. Touch ID was a game changer. It was fast, reliable for the most part, and incredibly convenient compared to typing in a passcode every time. Apple's implementation was also lauded for its security, with fingerprint data stored encrypted in a secure enclave on the chip, not on Apple servers or backed up to iCloud. This feature alone made the iPhone 5S a very desirable upgrade and set a new standard for biometric authentication on mobile devices. The home button itself got a new look, losing the square icon and gaining a sophisticated sapphire crystal surface with a stainless steel detection ring. But Touch ID wasn't the only first for the iPhone 5S. It was also the first smartphone to feature a 64-bit processor, the Apple A7 chip. Apple described it as having desktop-class architecture. While the immediate benefits of 64-bit weren't always obvious to the average user, it was a forward-looking move that promised significant performance gains for more complex apps and future-proofed the platform. Alongside the A7, Apple introduced the M7 Motion coprocessor. This dedicated chip continuously measured motion data from the accelerometer, gyroscope and compass, enabling new types of health and fitness apps without significantly draining the main battery. The camera system on the iPhone 5S also saw notable improvements, even though it remained an 8-megapixel sensor. The sensor itself was 15% larger, with larger pixels, 1.5 microns, and a wider f2 aperture. This translated to much better low-light performance and more detailed images. Perhaps more significantly, Apple introduced the True Tone Flash, which used dual LEDs, one white, one amber, that could fire at different intensities to match the ambient lighting, resulting in more natural-looking skin tones and better balanced flash photos. It also gained burst mode at 10 frames per second and slow-motion video recording at 120 frames per second in 720p. The iPhone 5S also introduced a new color option, gold. Alongside the existing silver and space gray, which replaced black, the gold iPhone 5S became a status symbol and was incredibly popular, often selling out quickly. It launched with iOS 7, which itself was a radical redesign of Apple's mobile operating system, moving away from skeuomorphism towards a flatter, more modern aesthetic with new features like Control Center and AirDrop. The combination of Touch ID, the 64-bit A7 chip, the improved camera, and the fresh look of iOS 7 made the iPhone 5S a powerhouse and one of the most significant S upgrades in iPhone history. So 2014 was the year Apple finally went big, really big. After years of sticking to smaller screen sizes while the Android world embraced larger displays, Apple unveiled not one but two new iPhones. The iPhone 6 with a 4.7-inch display and the iPhone 6 Plus with a massive 5.5-inch display. This was a direct response to overwhelming consumer demand for larger screens, and it marked a significant shift in Apple's product strategy. The tagline, "Bigger than bigger," perfectly encapsulated this move. The design also underwent a major overhaul. Gone were the sharp, chamfered edges of the iPhone 5 and 5S. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus featured a new, much thinner and more rounded design with curved glass that seamlessly met the aluminum unibody. This made them feel very comfortable to hold despite their larger footprints. However, the antenna lines on the back became more prominent and were a point of contention for some, aesthetically. The power button was also moved from the top to the side, making it easier to reach on these larger devices. Internally, both models were powered by the new A8 chip, which offered improved CPU and graphics performance over the A7, along with better power efficiency. They also included an improved M8 Motion coprocessor. A key new hardware feature was the inclusion of an NFC chip, primarily for Apple Pay. This was Apple's long-awaited entry into mobile payments, allowing users to make secure payments in stores with a tap of their iPhone, authenticated with Touch ID. Apple Pay was a big deal, and its ease of use and security helped drive adoption of mobile payments. The cameras on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were still 8 megapixels, but Apple introduced new focus pixels, phase detection autofocus, for faster and more accurate focusing. Both models gained improved image processing and could shoot 1080p video at 60 frames per second and slow-motion video at an impressive 240 frames per second. The larger iPhone 6 Plus had an exclusive camera feature, optical image stabilization, OIS, for the rear camera, which helped produce sharper photos and smoother videos, especially in low light or when zoomed in. This was a significant differentiator between the two models. However, the launch wasn't entirely smooth. The iPhone 6 Plus in particular became the subject of bendgate, where some users reported that the larger, thinner phone could bend under pressure, for example, when carried in a tight pocket. While the extent of the problem was debated, it certainly generated a lot of headlines. Despite this, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were incredibly successful. The larger screens were exactly what many users had been waiting for, and combined with Apple Pay and the refined iOS 8 experience, they sold in record numbers, proving that Apple's decision to go bigger was the right one. Alright, so in 2015, following the big screen splash of the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, we got the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. As is typical for an S year, the external design remained virtually identical to their predecessors. Same rounded aluminum bodies, same 4.7-inch and 5.5-inch screen sizes. But Apple's tagline for these phones was "The only thing that's changed is everything," hinting at the significant internal upgrades and new technologies packed inside. And they weren't kidding. This was a substantial S update. The headline new feature was 3D Touch. This was a new dimension of interaction with the display. The screen could now sense different levels of pressure, enabling new gestures called peek and pop. You could press lightly on an email in your inbox to peek at its content, then press harder to pop into the full email. It also enabled quick actions from app icons on the home screen. 3D Touch was a sophisticated piece of technology, adding a new layer of depth to iOS, though its adoption by users and developers was perhaps more mixed than Apple might have hoped. Under the hood, the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus were powered by the new A9 chip, which offered another significant leap in performance. Apple claimed up to 70% faster CPU and 90% faster GPU performance compared to the A8. The M9 Motion coprocessor was now integrated directly into the A9 chip, allowing for Hey Siri to be always on, so you could activate Siri hands-free without the phone needing to be plugged in. RAM was also upgraded to 2 GB, which made a noticeable difference in multitasking and keeping browser tabs open. The cameras received a long-awaited megapixel bump. The rear iSight camera was upgraded to 12 megapixels, capable of shooting even sharper and more detailed photos. It could also record 4K video, a first for iPhone. The front-facing FaceTime HD camera was upgraded to 5 megapixels, and Apple introduced Retina Flash, which momentarily lit up the entire display to act as a flash for selfies, resulting in better-lit front-facing photos. Another cool camera feature was Live Photos, which captured a few seconds of video and audio before and after a still shot, bringing your photos to life. To address the bendgate concerns from the previous year, Apple constructed the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus from a stronger custom 7000 series aluminum alloy, the same grade used in the aerospace industry. They also introduced a new rose gold color option, which proved to be incredibly popular. Touch ID was also upgraded to a second-generation sensor, which was noticeably faster and more reliable. Combined with iOS 9, which focused on intelligence, stability, and refinements, the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus were powerful, feature-rich devices that built impressively on the foundation of the iPhone 6 line. So, 2016 brought us the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, and this was a year of some pretty controversial changes alongside some solid improvements. Aesthetically, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus look quite similar to the 6s and 6s Plus line, retaining the same overall shape and screen sizes. However, Apple refined the design by making the antenna lines much less conspicuous. curving them along the edges of the phone, which resulted in a cleaner look, especially on the new color options. A matte black and a high-gloss jet black finish, which was notoriously prone to micro abrasions. The biggest and most talked about change by far was the removal of the 3.5mm headphone jack. Apple famously described this move as requiring courage. Their reasoning was that it freed up internal space for other components, pushed towards a wireless future, hello AirPods, which were announced alongside, and that the Lightning port could deliver high-quality audio. The iPhone 7 came with Lightning earpods and a Lightning to 3.5mm adapter in the box. But this decision was met with a lot of criticism from users who had existing wired headphones. Another significant hardware change was the home button. It was no longer a physical clickable button. Instead, it was a solid-state, pressure-sensitive button that used Apple's Taptic engine to provide haptic feedback that simulated the feeling of a click. This took some getting used to, but allowed for better water resistance. And speaking of water resistance, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus were the first iPhones to be officially IP67 rated for water and dust resistance, meaning they could survive a dunk in water up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. This was a much welcomed practical improvement. Performance was boosted by the new A10 Fusion chip, Apple's first quad-core processor in an iPhone. It featured 2 high-performance cores and 2 high-efficiency cores, intelligently switching between them to balance power and battery life. The camera systems also saw major upgrades. The iPhone 7 got an improved 12-megapixel sensor with optical image stabilization, which was previously a plus-only feature, and a wider f1.8 aperture for better low-light photos. The iPhone 7 Plus, however, was the real camera star. It introduced a dual camera system, one 12-megapixel wide-angle lens and one 12-megapixel telephoto lens. This dual camera setup on the 7 Plus enabled 2x optical zoom and, through a software update, the highly acclaimed portrait mode. Portrait mode used both lenses to create a depth of field effect, blurring the background to make subjects pop, mimicking the look of a DSLR camera. This feature was a huge hit and significantly advanced mobile photography. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus also featured stereo speakers for the first time, offering louder and more immersive audio. Despite the headphone jack controversy, these were powerful and capable iPhones with some key advancements. And there you have it, a whirlwind tour through the first decade of iPhone history, from the original game changer to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, which pushed boundaries in their own ways. It's pretty incredible to see the evolution, the key decisions, the innovations, and even the stumbles that have shaped this iconic device. Thanks for watching our guide on every iPhone ever released. Well, up to this point in our journey, each model brought something new to the table, building on what came before and paving the way for what was yet to come. We've covered a lot of ground, from the introduction of the App Store to Retina displays, from Siri to Touch ID, and from bigger screens to dual cameras and the removal of the headphone jack. It's clear that the iPhone story is one of constant iteration and occasional revolution. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tech content. We love diving deep into this stuff, and there's always more to explore in the world of technology, including the many iPhones that came after the 7 series. But now, I'm curious to hear from you. Which iPhone was your favorite from this era we covered? Was it the one that first got you into the Apple ecosystem, the one with a feature you couldn't live without, or maybe one that holds a particular nostalgic value? Let us know in the comments below. It's always fascinating to hear about the personal connections people have with these devices. Thanks again for sticking with us through this journey. Peace.